Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming from you from the KnifeCenter. And it's a new week, so we've got a bunch of cool new knives to show you. I'll pull just a few of the great things that hit our shelves in the last week, so let's check them out. All right, for the first thing, we've actually got a new brand to show to you. We've just picked them up here at the KnifeCenter, and that's Castillo knives, and we've got 3 new lockbacks from them. All 3 of them are made in Spain. They do feature lockbacks, as I mentioned, and they feature Sandvik's 14C28N steel, a really solid mid-range steel that fits well with these classic-looking knives. The first one is called the Moriah and has a nice spear point blade, about 2.9 inches, just under I should say, so under 3-inch mark, makes it nice and easy to carry. And we've got some really nice looking Bacote handles. Doesn't quite look like most Bacote I'm used to actually. It actually looks a little bit more like olive wood, but either way, it's a great looking finish. It's not too slick, it's kind of a matte finish, feels really good in the hand, nice and warm, and it looks great too, as you can see. Hollow grind on this knife, spear point as I said, but we've got a little bit of kind of a sweep to the spine right here, a little bit of a dip, so it's not perfectly symmetrical. Some nice jimping there as well. And one of the nice features that all of these knives have actually is in the steel liners on either side of the mid-mounted lockback, you've got some cutaways there, almost like a crenellated wall, so to speak. So you got some really nice visual interest back there. Backed up again also with some nice black G10 liners that really look great against that natural wood color. It's always just a really great combination. Price on these wood models is $119, and for that, not only do you get the knife, but you also get a nice leather pocket slip, good brown coloration. It also comes with a small sharpening stone, which they're calling a fine stone, although it's about a 320 grit heaviness, so I wouldn't say it's super fine. It is a little bit on the heavier side. The stone actually is made in the USA rather than Spain like the knives. It also comes with a pre-packaged ballistol wipe, great for cleaning the knife, great for lubricating it, protecting it. Does smell a little bit like a foot though, but it's great to have that with you, and it's easy to throw in a pack just in case you need it in an emergency. Maybe throw it in your pocket. Great to have on you. Or you can do what I do, use mineral oil on that sort of thing. But in any case, you're getting some really nice extras for the price of the knife. This next one is the Tauri, also at $119, and it has that classic lockback construction. And we have a very nice piece of curly birch for the handle material here. Black liners again, crenellated steel liners for some extra visual interest. There's a nice swell to these knives too. Not only do they feel warm in the hand, they've got a good contour, a good grip as well. But what I like about this knife is the blade shape is a bit more modern leaning. It has more of a modern flipper look almost. You've got a little bit of a thumb ramp right here with some jimping, a more elegant drop point, hollow ground again. It's got a more graceful plunge line here too. It's not a straight up and over. Adds a little bit more visual interest, I think. Feels great in the hand, indexes real nicely with your thumb. Again, a 3-inch blade here, nice and easy to carry. That's the Castillo Tauri. Last but not least is the Navaja, and this one's actually a little bit cheaper at $109. And this is actually modeled after old school Spanish knives, in fact. Actually, the translation of Navaja means razor in this case. But what gets the price a little bit lower is instead of that natural wood material, you've actually got what they're calling pine green micarta. Looks a little bit like burlap in a way, but it's not quite as heavy of a weave as a typical burlap micarta is. But I think it looks really cool. If you don't want the natural materials like wood, which can kind of swell or crack with time, you get a little more stability with this micarta, and it looks pretty darn cool as well. Black liners again, crenellated steel liners as well. Nice lockback. A little bit of sort of in between the previous 2 knives in terms of the blade shape. Kind of a nice straight clip point, hollow grind, again sub 3 inches, very cool knife. All right, let's go full modern now. We've actually got a new batch of XM18s from Rick Hinderer. These versions feature the Sponto grind blade with CPM 20 CV steel and the tri-way pivot for fantastic flipping action. You can tell it's the tri-way because of the little tri-way symbol right there, which means of course you can tune this pivot to whatever kind of tension you might like. There's extra hardware included in the packaging, so you can swap out the bearings for washers or Teflon or whatever you want. So you can change it up for either the newer type of bearing type feel or the old school Hinderer flipping feel if you wish. 3 colors right now. We've got OD green, black, and blue. and that 20 CV steel where it's a nice stone washed finish. Solid working, hardworking, and tactical knife. $425 on these right now. But that's not the real exciting Hinderer news this week. The real exciting news are these next two knives. First, we've got a new XM24, and this is newly updated with his vintage series finish. What that means is we've got this nice textured walnut scale on the front side rather than G10. It's a nice classic nice classic wood look. I guess that means wook. And on the back, we've got a special, this green anodized finish. It's not a bright green, it's kind of olive and dull. It makes it look really worn and patinaed straight away, because titanium, of course, is not going to take on an old school color like that, so they've got to put it on from the factory. Gold anodized hardware, of course, or sort of more brass look, I should say. And the steel itself, 01 tool steel to complete this old school vibe on this modern flipper. We've got a parkerized finish on the blade as well, which has been stone washed. Overall, really rustic looking, really cool. We've really liked honestly, all the vintage series knives he's put out. And you guys have too, actually. This one right here, $635 for the XM24 vintage. For that price, it's still the same great knife, just with those old materials. You've got a very roomy handle. Even for my slightly larger hands, the main handle is more than enough to accommodate my digits, but you can still choke up, get there right behind the finger choil, get some more fine detail work, and a lot of blade length too. We're at nearly 4 inches here. Just a lot of power in this knife, a lot of work you can get done. And if you're worried about that 01 tool steel standing up, you shouldn't. It's nice and tough. It may not be like the modern Ferrari, but it's the old Chevy work truck that always works and always starts and is always there to help you out. Next up, we've got another vintage Hinderer, but this time it's a fixed blade, and this is the Ranch Harpoon Spanto. Price on this, $400, and you get a solid kind of crossover between a combat and outdoor utility blade. Of course, the original Ranch knife had more of a clip point, and that was his take on like a Ranch style Bowie knife, that great outdoor knife, which has some fighting crossover characteristics to it. But now with the Harpoon point on here, it leans into that combat aesthetic, that combat roll a little bit more heavily. But other than that, it's the same kind of materials you saw on the XM24. 01 tool steel, parkerized and stone washed finish. I like it a lot. It looks really great. Got a nice flat grind, nice finger choil up there to choke up on the 5 1/4 inch blade. Good amount of blade length. So the spine of the knife is nice and comfortable. We've got some chamfered edges, so you're not going to be striking a fire steel with it, but I think that's okay. It's a good trade-off for being able to have that finger comfort. And that carries over to the jimping as well. Those chamfered edges do continue there, so it's not a super sharp jimping, but they're nice and broad and deep. So even if you're wearing gloves, there's still a good amount of traction there for your thumb. The handles themselves are smooth walnut. Obviously, you're not going to have the same kind of texture as you would on that folder. And you can see you got a really good, nice, elegant swell to it. The swell, in fact, though, is a little bit further back, which surprises me a little bit on this knife design overall. It makes it not quite as comfortable in what I would instinctively use as a standard grip, but it's definitely more comfortable when you choke back a little bit so that swell sits right in the palm, orients the tip of the blade down a little bit, makes it good for piercing, puncturing, opening feed bags, what have you. And it also feels really good when you choke up on it, so you can kind of hook your thumb around the top of the scale and get right behind that edge a little bit. Maybe even put your finger up there in the choil. That feels really good as well. But in any case, like I said, it's nice and comfortable, no hot spots, got a nice lanyard hole, and then almost as impressive, almost even more so, is the sheath they include with this. It reminds me of like a Sunburst Les Paul guitar. I mean, the finish and the gradient they've put on this nice leather sheath just looks fantastic. I mean, really nice. Got some nice tooling along the edges, and it's already formed perfectly for the Bowie knife right there, or the Ranch knife, whatever you want to call it. Nice little snap closure, generous loop on the side. Overall, just a really cool and really beautiful old school package. All right, so normally I leave a lot of the fixed blades to the end, but since we talked about the Ranch Bowie, let's talk about the other fixed blades I've got this week. First is an upgrade to the White River Backpacker Pro. Now the Backpacker Pro is the version that comes with the G10 handles. We've got orange in this case. And the ion bond coated version of this knife has now been upgraded to S35 VN steel as opposed to the S30V that it used to carry. Edge retention ought to be pretty similar, but you're going to get a little more toughness and a little more edge stability overall than the S30V. Price on this $139. Comes with a nice Kydex sheath with a modular belt attachment, so you can move it around however you wish. And honestly, this is a knife that could give knives like the Azula a run for their money. It's just a great little knife. I've always been a fan of this package. Blade length, we're at about 3 1/4 inches. Got that nice rugged coating. And one of the nice features that all the backpackers have that I really appreciate is the finger area right here is crowned. So there's not a sharp edge for your hand to dig into, even if you're digging in with the point and pushing into something, nice and comfortable. And of course, you could always take those scales off if you wanted to and wrap it in paracord if you wanted a more slim carry, but it's still pretty darn slim even with the scales, and it feels even better, I think. Now really, if you've never tried a White River knife before, you really ought to. They do a great job, made right here in America, and I certainly don't think they get the credit they deserve for the work they're putting out, and the Backpacker Pro, any of the backpackers really, are not a bad place to start. All right, let's flip gears a little bit from the more rustic and outdoorsy stuff to something a little more combat. I've actually got a fixed blade from Microtech. This is not an automatic knife or any kind of folding knife that you might expect from them, but it does bear a relation to one of their most famous models. This is the SOCOM Alpha Mini fixed blade. Now, despite that name, I love the size of this knife. We're at about 3 1/4 inches of blade. Right now it features Elmax steel with a stonewashed finish. And you got that really nice aggressive clip point shape. Some people say it has to have a really scooped out clip to be aggressive, but it's more of a straight clip here, but it's definitely fearsome. A little bit of a swedge here just along the spine, not towards the tip. Flat ground right there. Handles are G10, and you can see it kind of echoes the shape of that SOCOM folder. I think it feels really good. It definitely orients the blade in a forward pointing stance. Now, normally I'm not actually too big on a handle that tapers towards the back. I think it makes it a little harder to really bear down onto. But with this, it definitely serves a purpose, and it is in orienting that blade, because this is a combat knife first and foremost. This isn't meant to necessarily be an everyday utility knife or a hunting knife, or definitely not an outdoor knife, although it certainly could do the job in a pinch. It's got the right kind of blade shape to kind of cross over between all those different uses, and it's comfortable enough. I should give it a little more credit than that, I should say. But we've got a crown spine, which has then been jimped. As you can see, it runs all the way down the back of the handle as well as on the front. Definitely makes it easy to hold on to, especially if you've got heavier work gloves or combat gloves on. And it's got a really nice flare here towards the front. It's going to be hard to kind of show off what makes that so special on camera, but it's got that same kind of broad thumb pad that the folders have, makes it really easy to bear down on. It's really cool. Prices on these are at $250, so it's not super expensive. Certainly a decent price for the materials you're getting for such a kind of semi-custom piece in a way. And you've got a nice Kydex sheath. It comes with a carbon fiber type effect on it. And as you can see, we've got a Besttech style belt clip here as well, a locking belt clip. So it's not going to come loose on your belt, and you can reorient it based on however you want to carry it, because these holes are going to be spaced so you can move that around. We've even got some nice cool custom hardware there on the front of it. Nice little Microtech touch. All right, now for something that's more along the lines of what Microtech is known for, and that's of course an OTF automatic knife. And this is actually where the colorful portion of our tour starts today. We've got a new variant on the Exocet money clip OTF, with an orange anodized finish and black blade. Price on this is $264, and you get that aluminum chassis, a nice broad clip on the back so you can use it as a money clip. And the steel here on this double-edged blade is 204P, which if you know anything about steels, that's equivalent to M390 and CPM 20CV. It's the same stuff here, basically just different company. And even though this is a smaller blade, it's under 2 inches, so this is a California compliant model. Because it's double-edged, you've got almost 4 inches of that fantastic powder metallurgy steel to work with, so you actually have a lot of edge retention in this small knife. I also appreciate that these knives carry really flat. They feel nice in the hand too. It's not going to be something you're necessarily going to really bear down on, but for manipulating, opening boxes, doing smaller stuff, any of that day-to-day things, any of those day-to-day things, I really like just kind of the way it sits in the hand, the way you manipulate the blade. It's really nice. And of course, being a Microtech, got really great automatic action to boot. So if you want an automatic, but that knife is still a little too rich for your blood, you ought to check out the Kershaw Launch series of automatics. And we've got a new variant of the Launch 8 this week with a teal anodized aluminum handle. So this is that same great Matt Diskin designed knife that kind of echoes the spirit of the like 1960s Italian stilettos, but it's all modern, American made, and you've got some really nice materials. As I mentioned, a nice solid aluminum chassis, carbon fiber inlay on the front side only, reversible pocket clip for both sides, and it carries nice and narrow, as you can see. Once it's folded up, especially right there at the top of the pocket, there's not a whole lot sticking out. Of course, if you really want to go for kind of more surreptitious, you can go with the black or the darker colors rather than the bright teal, but that's neither here nor there. Steel on these, CPM 154, stone-washed finish, flat grind with a really deep swedge, and the best part about this knife and about all the Launch knives really is the price, $99.95. It's under $100 for an American-made switchblade. And if you're worried that the quality is not going to be quite there because that price seems so low compared to other autos out there, just listen to this. The action is great. Definitely right up there, I'd say, with the best in the business. I know some people don't necessarily agree with me here, even in this building, but I think the action is phenomenal on all these Launch knives. Really good stuff. So another nice colorful knife, another new variant is this knife here. It's a new version of the Besttech Fractal. And it has this really cool rainbow flame anodized titanium frame with a carbon fiber a marbled carbon fiber inlay on both sides. Now, if you like this knife overall, we of course have some other variants available, including a new version with kind of a green anodized look, but I'd say it looks a little more bronzy or brassy than actual green, so that has definitely a different aesthetic than this one right here. But the steel is S35VN, about 3.5 inches, and we're at $244.95 on this knife right now. Compound grinds, as you can see, and we've got kind of a matte finish on these ground portions with a horizontal satin grain on the flats of the knife. Chamfered edges on the spine, nice and comfortable. Frame lock to close it. Single position pocket clip, it's right side tip up, but you've got great flipping action. In addition to that, you've got this nice broad thumb cutout here, so you can even do that middle finger flick. All right, next up we're gonna go with another Besttech variant, another smaller knife in this case, but this is the Goblin, this new version featuring gray titanium handles and a carbon fiber inlay. The blade is S35VN, and we're at about 2 inches of length. And the best part about this knife is how compact it is, especially when folded up. We're just a bit over 3 inches when folded, but it flips open nicely. And you got that broad finger choil there, so you can still get a nice big grip on it. For me, I'd say it's about a 3.5 finger grip, but it gives you a lot of control and a lot more power behind that shorter blade. Of course, you have that kind of modified Wharncliffe type of profile. It's going to be great for piercing, opening boxes, scoring, a lot of great EDC work you can do with this knife, especially with a steel like S35VN. We've got horizontal satin grain on the flats like the previous knife, but we also have a stone-washed finish this time on the ground portions of the knife, which kind of ties in a little bit to the frame, the titanium frame, which is also stone-washed. You can also see we've got some really nice scoops taken out of the handle, give it some visual flair, and it doesn't get in the way of the ergonomics at all. In fact, it even adds to it a little bit. Right at the tip of this one, I find it very natural to kind of thumb pinch right there. Makes it very easy to do some of those scoring things if you want to extend your reach just a little bit, get in, cut the box there. I also like the nice depression in the spine here. For when you are choking up, it's a great place for your thumb to rest. Single position pocket clip on the frame, right side tip up, frame lock for locking, and a nice broad or a nice long lanyard slot, I should say, integrated to the back spacer. And the price on this variant, $172.95. All right, just a couple more now. We've actually got a new mid-tech from Berg blades, and this is the Wolf Flipper, made for them by We Knives out of China, so you know the quality is going to be top notch, and the price is not going to set you back too much either. We're at $315 for this knife, which is a lot less than you could expect to pay for one of Berg's full customs, I can guarantee you. We've got S35VN steel with a matte finish, and we're just under 4 inches with the blade. Got a nice clip point shape with a nice broad swedge here near the tip. Makes the tip a little more acute for piercing. You got that nice full length, or almost full length fuller along the side as well that looks really cool. Now when it's folded up, that fuller does kind of disappear mostly, so you're not really going to be able to use it to do that middle finger flick or do other kind of slower one-hand opening methods. This is a flipper all the way, and it flips just fine. Especially with that bigger blade, it feels really good. The frame is titanium, and as you can see, it's actually been milled away near the back so it can incorporate some lightning strike carbon fiber inlays. What that gets you, in addition to the standard carbon fiber weave, to give it a little more life, a little more pizzazz, you've actually got bronze wires running through there with the carbon fibers itself. Especially when you move it around in the light, it's an extra little pop of color, but it's not super aggressive in the way it shines out. It's a little more subtle, a little more refined overall. Lockup is good. You can see we've got a nice steel plate here to interface with the blade itself. It has an internally mounted over travel arrestor, and I like some of the little details on this knife as well. You can see the back spacer is kind of an angular look. It's had some of its edges kind of diagonally cut away, adds a little bit of visual flair. I like the shape of the pocket clip overall. It works well with the handle, flows nicely. And I even like this little detail we see on the back right here. Now on the front of the knife, that cutout makes it easier to disengage the lock bar when you're ready to close it. So they didn't have to put something like that on the back, but they did, and it looks just really nice. Looks quite good. But overall, this knife is definitely a statement piece. It's one of those pieces that you pull out when you want to impress someone. I won't say who, I'll let you figure that out. But that is the Berg Blades Wolf Flipper, made by We Knives. Good stuff. All right, for this next one, let's go full custom. We've got a good new batch of ADV in, and this one right here is his F17 Harpoon, and just check this knife out. How cool is this? The blade is VG10 Damascus, and you have that really broad signature kind of ADV shape. And the frame itself, titanium. You've got the nice polished edges with satin flats for a good, nice little bit of visual difference. Something you don't see too many people besides ADV doing. One, it's hard to do. And two, it's kind of his signature at this point. Looks really good. Green carbon fiber inlays, not only on the front, but also a small strip on the back and a little bit there in the back spacer as well. Looks really wicked, like a toxic green kind of color. Price on this is $9.75, and for that, you're getting more than you just see here. You're getting some nice little details that are a little hard to appreciate. So I'm gonna try and show some of them to you right now. And we've got a right side tip-up pocket clip right here that has a wheel here at the pinch point, makes it easier to take in and out of the pocket. But you'll see we have a nice diamond textured, or not a textured, sorry, a like diamond printed pattern on that clip itself. Now if you take a look at that and actually look inside the knife, the inside of both frames actually carries that same pattern, and so does the inside of the back spacer. It's one of those things that's not really gonna come through very well in photos on our website, but it looks really great in person. It's one of those things that elevates this knife. It's also got it there on the pivot collar on the front and the back as well for further tying everything together with this really cool harpoon from ADV. But we've actually got more than just this in stock. We've got a good new batch of ADV knives in right now, like I said, so you can check all of those out at the link below. All right, last but not least, 2020 edition of the KnifeCenter catalog is in stock and ready to ship. Now, you might be asking why an internet-based retailer like us here at the KnifeCenter would want to sell you a paper-based catalog. Some of us here are old school, and we just love the feeling of flipping through a magazine or flipping through an old catalog. Now, if you're looking for something ultra specific, it might be quicker to use our website, but if you're just wanting to browse, nothing beats turning the pages on paper to do that. And you'll see a lot of cool stuff. We've actually got a ton of stuff in here that hasn't even made it onto our website. So if you want to see all of that, you can pick this up right now. We're at $22.95, and we'll ship this to you for that price. We're not going to charge you extra for shipping on that. And honestly, a lot of that price that we charge goes towards shipping, because this is almost 1,900 pages of steel. Not of steel, it's paper, but you know what I mean. But there's a lot of cool stuff in here. You can check it out. And the prices in here, I should note, are at full retail. So the prices that we're going to charge you can be up to 30% lower than what's in here. You can check our website or call our customer service number to get your hands on anything in this book, and we'll be able to get it to you, no problem. All right, everyone, that is just some of the cool new stuff we've got this week, and we've got new stuff coming in every day. Now, there weren't a lot of wholly brand new knife models this week, but SHOT Show's right around the corner, and we're gonna be there in force, covering all the brand new 2020 releases from all the big companies. So keep your eyes peeled on our channel here for that great coverage. Now, in the meantime, if you wanna get your hands on any of these knives you saw here, we'll leave links to those in the description so you can head over to KnifeCenter.com. I'm David C. Anderson signing off. See you next time. With a nice little bit of kind of.
That should generate some comments from the Ford fans.
Do it. Engagement. Can't use that.
Somebody beam this man up.
The third video result is how to say Great Wall of China in Spanish.